Hey there, and welcome to the Happy Wife Mentor Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Grimion, certified coach, podcaster, mom of 3, and happy wife of 19 years. I help busy women in their 40s get their spark back in their marriages without any effort from their husbands. If you're ready to get happy and get the love and connection back that you desire, then you're in the right place. Here, I'll share tips and strategies that helped me go from meh in my marriage to thriving and more connected than ever before. Are you ready, friend? Grab a LaCroix and let's get started.
Welcome back to the Happy Wife Mentor Podcast. I'm Jenny Grimion, and here we are ready for part 2 of my story. So if you didn't listen to part 1, go back and listen to the first part so you can get caught up on where we are. I just wanted to go a little bit deeper into where I think I went a little bit sideways in my marriage and where I was led maybe astray in my thinking. So I was never really taught how to have a happy marriage. I mean, none of us really are, honestly, if you think about it. It's just kind of like the things I remember hearing are, marriage is tough. You just have to work together. You know, it's all about communication. Have you heard that one? And that's all we know, but it's like kind of like this mystery of how to make it flow and make it easy. We're not really taught. So I had a corporate sales career for 13 years, and that was a big part of my identity. I was really blessed to get into that career. I loved my job and my career, and it worked, and I loved it until it didn't work when I had 3 kids and a husband that was traveling for work. So I left that in 2016. That was, I think, a challenging time for me because that was a lot of my identity. And so I think that I carried even some guilt into leaving that, even though it was misplaced guilt. I think I felt a little bit guilty. I always viewed me and my husband as a team. And in my mind, I contributed just as much as he did. And I think that that's okay to a certain extent, but it caused me to have some guilt when I left my career because I wasn't making the money anymore. And it was a lot of money that I was making. I was making multiple 6 figures. So when you leave that, you know, that was a big part of our whole financial plan. And we both are pretty financially savvy. And so it was hard. And so I think that kind of turned into like, well, I've got to make that up somehow. So I went out and bought a ton of real estate and got into real estate investing. And again, this has been a journey of like realizing all this and peeling onion layers after onion layers back to kind of like put all these pieces together. At the time, it was great. And I think real estate's great that, you know, like, yeah, and invest in real estate. But for me, it was a way that I could make up for leaving that income. And so, I mean, I literally had a baby on my hip and I was out renovating rental properties. You know, at one time we had 10 properties. So yeah, I did all that pretty much on my own. Went out there and made it happen. Another thing that really tripped me up was, so going back to the real estate. So there was all this real estate going on. I'm trying to raise 3 kids, husband's traveling for work. I just had a lot going on. There was a lot of stress, even though I had left my corporate job because it was so stressful and trying to manage the family. It's almost like I replaced that with something else. And another thing that tripped me up, and if you've ever heard of the 5 love languages, I don't know that I necessarily agree with the 5 love languages, even though I think that the intention is good. But when someone is an acts of service and you feel like, because the book talks about showing love to the spouse in their love language, and then they're supposed to be doing the same thing at the same time. So it's supposed to be this mutually like give and take thing. Well, when you have a spouse that's acts of service, so you think, and that's how they feel loved, well, then, you know, you find yourself just dropping anything to do what the spouse needs because, well, acts of service, you do that out of love. And you can find yourself really putting yourself on the back burner a lot just because you feel like you need to or are supposed to do that if you're a good wife. Another thing that I had heard kind of thrown around in the industry that because my husband and I were in the same industry, another thing I had always heard thrown around is, well, as far as maybe the men go that were in that industry, like, well, behind every good, and successful sales rep is a good wife. And the way that I took that was, oh, well, they've just got this amazing support person that's just doing everything else so that they can go out and be successful at their career. And so since I had left my corporate job and now I'm at home, well, that's what I should be doing, right? Except for the fact that I've got real estate in 3 states. And I'm managing all this property, also a few more businesses on the side as well, on top of that, and raising 3 children. Do you see the burnout building here at all? What it boils down to is I did not know how to have fun. I didn't really have time for fun. And again, at the time, I wouldn't have told you that. I would have said, yeah. But I found myself, resentful of my husband because he wanted to go and do his hobbies, and his hobbies happened to be on the weekends. And what I've learned over time is resentment just kind of means that maybe you want what the other person has or is doing, and you're just not doing it for yourself. And why is that? Right. So I remember him saying to me, why don't you go do something with your friends or get together with your friends for the weekend? And I found at that time, I really wasn't making time for that. But in my mind, for some reason, it just couldn't happen. But why? Nobody was holding me back from making that happen. So I really had to take a look at that. Another thing that I remember being said to me during this time by someone, a family member actually, is, Jenny, why don't you just go play tennis? Like, everything is good. Go enjoy yourself. Like, go play tennis. And I remember thinking to myself, like, what is he talking about? Like, no, I don't want to go play tennis. I am over here building financial freedom and building real estate, and I've got things to do here. But the way it turns out, actually, we should be making time for ourselves and we should be enjoying ourselves. And if all we're doing is doing, that's a very masculine trait. And that means you're almost rejecting your femininity. And femininity is a woman's essence. So I had to really start to look at that as well. And it just always kind of like hung around in the back of my mind, like, why can't I just go play tennis? And tennis is just a metaphor. I mean, it could be anything for you. It could be painting, it could be gardening, it could be taking a dance class, it could be pickleball, it could be softball. I mean, you name it. But I thought, like, why can't I just go play tennis? There was just some sort of like wrongfully placed guilt that I was holding and resentment. And I just couldn't let go of that. I couldn't enjoy myself. And so that is really what I kind of wanted to paint for you guys as well, just to show you how things can go sideways when we choose to believe that we have to put others first. We carry guilt when we should not feel guilty. And when we value producing and doing and all these pursuits over just being, I did not understand that. I was like, you would hear like, you just need to be and not do. You don't always have to be doing. We are to be still and know. I never could grasp that, but now I do have a grasp of that. And I can tell you that it is so much better on this side. And what I would say is a couple things I want to end with today is that only you can make yourself happy, and only you can make yourself make the time to enjoy your life, to slow down, to make yourself a priority. Why do you think that you put your oxygen mask on first in an airplane before you put it even on your child if the plane goes down? Well, that's because we are the only ones who can care for ourselves, and that's our responsibility. And so if your cup is not filled up, then you're not going to be able to fill up anyone else's cup around you. So We're going to talk more about this on the show, and I'm going to dive into each of these areas a little bit deeper. And then the last thing I'll say is there's no such thing as working on a relationship or a marriage, honestly. There's only working on yourself. And that's kind of what I want the theme of this podcast to be. Yes, I'm going to give you strategies on how to make things easier and little tips and tricks that I've learned that really helps the connection and the communication in your marriage. But ultimately, you have to really turn inward and look at yourself and your life and how you're living it and choose yourself. And when you start to do that and slow down, if you're listening to all of this, sidebar, if you're listening to all of this and thinking like, must be nice, slow down. What are you talking about? I can't slow down. Well, even more of a reason for you to listen to this podcast, because maybe it is time for you to slow down. And maybe it is time for you to take a pause, take a deep breath, and really start to grasp the concept that you are the only one that can make all of this happen for yourself. So yes, slowing down to make yourself happy. And when we do that, we start to magnetize and attract the love and connection that we've always wanted and desired. So that is where we're going to end today. I thank you so much for joining me.
Hey girl, I hope this podcast episode blessed you today. If it helped you in any way, I would so appreciate it if you shared it with a friend. Sharing is caring, and it's the best way for you to support me in this work. I would also love to hear from you. You can DM me on Instagram at Jenny Grimion, and you can also join my free Facebook community at the Happy Wife Club with Jenny Grimion. So go do something fun for yourself today, and I'll see you right back here next week.